vaccine until I see kind of how things turn out with what's going on right now. I do a lot of research. I know and understand how the vaccine works, and for myself, I choose to not get it. So that's where I'm at.
And it's you know, you say excuse me, you hear a lot of people saying that they have either adverse reactions or things like that. And that statement you said, one, it's not a one size fits all thing. That goes with just about everything we do: diet, exercise. So for people to just put it all together in one bunch of thing is like, it's not, there's no real progression there as far as getting people back to being healthy. But you did say, your bottom line is, a lot of people love, as far as practitioners and people who go to practitioners, they like their doctor to be honest, and they don't want to be, kind of led astray on how they get treated. So one of the things I know that people love is, like you said, your bottom line is not a dollar. It's all about the patient. And I think when you're a doctor, you take an oath to help. What is it? I'm not sure the actual oath, but you know what I mean. Like, you're dedicated to helping people and saving lives and things of that nature. So it's concerning when you see all these doctors pushing certain medicines, and then, I think we as America and I think New Zealand are the only countries that actually advertise medication on TV. So just being in that world, in the pharmaceutical world, or just in the health industry, you see the difference in when people are actually genuinely trying to help people, and others when it's just all about the dollar and how much money they can get from insurances. What what is some of the things like, so the reason I'm saying all that is because, as a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, you are not doing that. You're not pushing pills pretty much. So how do you get more clientele, and how do you get more people into your practice?
I think, I do some advertising, mainly from an educational standpoint, just because I feel like it's important that people know that this is an option for them, that they have this available to them to utilize, either in conjunction with Western medicine or to avoid surgery. I've heard that countless times, that people going to acupuncturists help them avoid getting some kind of surgery or another. So I do a bit of advertising with like a local newspaper. Aside from that, I think my biggest generator of more clients is through referrals, through word of mouth of my patients. And my clinic is right next to my parents' pharmacy. It's on the same property in a separated building. So a lot of my clientele has come from people just being like, "What's that? What's going on over there? What's that? Acupuncture and herbal medicine? What is that?" And I have some brochures that I made just to kind of educate people about it, what it's good for, what it can help. And I think that's definitely probably the couple of the biggest ways that my I've seen my clientele basis improve. But the biggest one definitely being through referrals, through people experiencing it and then telling their friends, like, "Oh, have you ever gotten acupuncture? Like, it's amazing, it's so relaxing," and this, that, and the other. And then people get curious, and it's
Yeah.
it's so much more effective to hear something of like good from a friend about it, rather than me coming like, "Well, you should get acupuncture because this and this." Like, well, of course I'm going to say that,
Right. You're the
but the
doctor.
friend, I'm not.
Is there any actual, being next to a pharmacy, is there any actual prescriptions that you write for people in?
No, no, no.
Okay.
That's outside my scope of practice. So I don't deal with any Western medicine. I can't give any recommendations as far as it comes to uh, Western medical dosaging or whether they should be taking it or not. My main role is to understand how pharmaceuticals interact with the herbal medicine that I use. So So that's a large majority of my knowledge of Western medicine is knowing what works together and what doesn't work together, when to not use a certain herb because they're already taking a certain medication.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's yeah. So is there any type of, I don't want to say pills because I know that's all Western, but like, is there any type of actual scripts from Chinese traditional medicine?
Yeah, um, a lot of our herbs come in different forms. They're typically in formulas, which is a combination of herbs that I mean, most of the formulas we use are like thousands of years old, and with some modifications for the person that we see in front of us today. It's usually the same thing, not a one size fits all thing. Every person is built differently and has a different constitution, and with that, combining their lifestyle factors, it's always different person to person. So our our herbal medicine comes in the form of, traditionally it was teas, so you would boil the herbs down to make a really concentrated tea and you drink the tea. More modernly, we I don't do that too much because I know people don't like to taste that. It tends to be very earthy or very bitter or sour. It really enhances the natural flavors of the herbs. So
Yeah, hard to go down.
exactly, being in the culture that we live in, people, it's always they want the taste to be a pleasurable experience and not something that's not pleasurable. So the form that I usually do most of my herbs in is in capsule form actually. So they're concentrated, and then made into granules, which is like they dry them out and then break them down into where they're in like kind of a granule form, and then they put them in pills. So that's the form I use most often, and that's yeah. And it's always customizable to the patient, which is really one of my favorite parts of the medicine, is that every person gets their own formula and it's always tailored for them.
And you said you started your practice in May of 2020. Were you at any other practice before then, or?
Nope. I graduated in December of 2019.
Okay, congratulations.
Thanks. It took me about 3 months to study and take my board exams, which I passed in March, like literally the day before they shut everything down. So it was
Wow.
very crazy timing too, because I
Yeah.
like just got in to take my board exams, and then they ended up closing it when COVID first hit, and a lot of my classmates that were on at the same kind of time frame as me, they all got delayed in taking their board exams because of COVID, and of course,
But
in time it booted back up and all that, but
but you made it right before the deadline, huh?
like literally the weekend that they shut everything down, it was like that Friday before. So
Wow.
so yeah, it's pretty crazy timing, and then with that, once I got my actual picture wall license and stuff, then I was good to go for practicing, and that ended up happening in May. So yeah.
What were some planning that had to go into getting your practice ready and started?
Um, I think the biggest part of it was getting the clinic set up. The building that I used had been used for storage for probably about 5 to 8 years, so it had been
Oh,
collected a lot of dust.
yeah.
It was designed very differently for what it had been used for previously, and so a lot of the preparation came in the form of a lot of dump runs and a lot of going through really old stuff and deciding, do I need this? Do I not need this? Not even my stuff. If it were my stuff, it probably would have been a
Yeah.
lot easier, but it was stuff from the pharmacy. And it's kind of just an agreement I have with my dad, like, hey, if I clean this out and fix it up, can I use this as my practice space? And so that was the biggest part of the preparation. The other part was really just the studying. I mean, to pass my board exams, which was pretty intense, and I studied for, let's see, December when I graduated up until March when I took the test. So for that 2.5-ish months, I studied. I went from like I started at 4 hours a day and worked my way up to 8 hours a day of studying, which if you've ever done that, it's really taxing on your brain.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not easy. It's like constant mental. And so I had to really find ways to balance that with exercising and just making sure I was nourishing my body and nourishing my brain and getting it all the good foods and nutrients to be able to do the tasks I was asking of it.
I was gonna say because I know for me, I'm an aircraft mechanic, so for us, we have to take 3 written tests, 3 written exams of 100 questions plus each, and then an oral exam on basically everything we took written, but we have to know it, and then a practical. So I know I didn't eat for like maybe 2 weeks for just studying because so I can imagine, um, studying for your board exam and just
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was an intense time of my life, and I made it through though, and so
Yeah,
did you, which is
yeah,
awesome.
that's what matters, right?
Right.
What are some of your, if you have any, from when you started, your some of the biggest testimonials that you've treated people with, and they've come back and they were like amazed and anything like that?
Yeah, I have a handful. As far as personally, I think going through schooling, I witnessed a lot of really amazing things, which just really affirmed that, I was doing something that really changes lives. But for me personally, I actually just I was a speaker for the Seroptimus, this local Seroptimus group that I'm in, which is a service based organization for women. And a couple of the people in the group are also my patients. So after my presentation to them about Chinese medicine and all that, a couple of them they said some really nice things about me that I didn't even know. Like apparently people call me Dr. Miracle, which I didn't know that. I was like, that's a big weight to put on my shoulders.
Yeah,
But
that's a
but
hell of a title.
exactly, yeah. One of my patients had been on steroid shots for many years following a surgery that left her in very severe pain in her low back and her neck. And since she's been coming to see me as of like last July, she hasn't been needing to get her steroid shots. So that was kind of a big one, just to see like she wanted something alternative that to help her get off the steroid shots because of course with steroids comes a lot of side effects
Like weight
and so
gain.
to yeah, all kinds of stuff and so to be able to help her kind of achieve that was very rewarding for sure. A couple people they come in and tell me, oh, my husband says that you've given me life again, like you've brought me back to life and that I'm back a whole new person, so it's kind of cool. Even people I haven't even met, just witnessing their partners getting treatment regularly to see how effective and how helpful it's been.
You are Dr. Miracle.
I don't know about that. Like I said, it's a big weight. That's a big title to take on.
Yeah. That's great though. That's awesome having those people, seeing that your work is actually going towards something and not only, feeling good about what you're doing, but actually hearing that it's working is a huge validation.
It really is, and it's definitely the most rewarding part of my job for sure. Is that I get to not only talk with people one on one, which is just always it's my favorite way of communicating with people because I feel like you get to know them so much more than when you're in a group setting. But that and also seeing the results, seeing people change, seeing someone go from I had another case actually where I was seeing this gentleman who came in with pretty severe depression, and it was visible from just him walking through my door, like just the look in his face, the way he would speak to me was very short. Wouldn't engage in much conversation at all. When he did talk, it was very monotone, very sad. Um,
Just
and
a black
after
cloud hanging over his head.
yeah, and after a handful of treatments, I remember this one time he came in, it was like all the clouds had parted and the sun was shining, and he was like telling me stories about his childhood, and talking about his family and talking about all these things that made him happy. And I was like, holy cow, I was like, is this the same guy? Like, what happened? And I was
That's
like,
gotta
you,
be
you
a
sound
hell of
like
a
you're doing
feeling.
better.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And so witnessing it firsthand, but also hearing it from other people